YouVersion app, Amplified Bible, Classic Edition, Matthew 24, Amplified AMPC, Matthew 24. Jesus departed from the temple area and was going on his way when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to the building of the temple and point them out to him. As he answered them, "Do you see all these? Truly I tell you, there will not be left one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." While he was seated on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will this take place? And what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the completion of consummation of the age?" Jesus answered them, "Be careful that no one misleads you, deceiving you and leading you into error. For many will come in one of the strength of my name, appropriating the name which belongs to me, saying, 'I am the Christ, the Messiah,' and they will lead many astray. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened or troubled, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nations will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in place after place. All this is the beginning of the early pains of the birth pangs of the intolerable anguish. Then they will hand you over to suffer affliction and tribulation, and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and repelled, and will begin to distrust and desert him who they ought to trust and obey, and will stumble and fall away, and betray one another, and pursue one another with hatred. And many false prophets will rise up and deceive and lead many to error. And the love of the great body of people will grow cold because of the multitude, lawlessness, and inequity, but he who endures to the end will be saved. And this good news of the kingdom, the gospel, will be preached throughout the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then will come the end. So when you see the appalling sacrilege, the abomination, and astonishes and makes desolate, spoken by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader take notice and ponder, consider and heed this. Then let who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is in the housetop not come down and go to the house to take anything. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his overcoat. And the last, to the women who are pregnant and for those who have nursing babies in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on a Sabbath, for there will be a great tribulation, affliction, distress, and oppression, such as not has been from the beginning of the world until now. No, and never will be again. And in those days, had not been shortened, no human being would endure and survive. But the sake of the elect, God's chosen one, those days will be shortened. If anyone says to you, then, behold, here is the Christ, the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise, and they will show great signs and wonders so as to deceive and lead astray, if possible, even the elect, God's chosen one. See, I warn you beforehand. So if they say to you, behold, here is in the wilderness, desert, do not go out there. If they tell you, behold, he is in the sacred places or inner rooms, do not believe it. For just as the lightning flashes from the east and shines and is seen from far of the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wherever there is a fallen body, a corpse, there the vultures or eagles will flock together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not shed its light, and the stars will fall from the sky. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the signs of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn and beat their beasts in lameness and anguish, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, in brilliance and splendor. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect, his chosen ones, from the four winds, even the one of the universe of the other. From the fig tree, this lesson, or soon as the young shoots become soft and tender, it puts out its leaves. You know of surely that summer is near. So also, when you see these signs all taken together coming to pass, you may know of surely that he is near at the very doors. Truly I tell you, this generation, the whole multitude of people living in the same time, in a definite given period, will not pass away till all these things take place. Sky and the earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But of that exact day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For just as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, men marry, and women being given in marriage, until the very day when Noah went into the ark. And they did not know and understand until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. At that time 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding a handmill, and one will be taken and one will be left. Watch therefore, give strict attention, be cautious and active. For you do not know in the kind of a day, whether a near or remote one, your Lord is coming. But understand this, had the householder known in what part of the night, whether in a night or a morning, watch the thief was coming, he would watch and would not have allowed his house be undermined and broken into. You also must be ready, therefore. The Son of Man is coming at the hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful, thoughtful, and wise servant, whom his master has put in charge of his household to give another flood and supplies in the proper time? Blessed, happy, fortunate to be envied is that servant whom when his master comes he will find so doing. I solemnly declare to you, he will set him over his possessions. But if that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is delayed and is going to be gone a long time, and begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunken, the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and on an hour in which he is not aware, and will punish him, cut him up by scourging, and put him to with the pretenders, hypocrites. There will be weeping and grinding of teeth.